Hi, welcome to Board Gems. In this video, I'll be comparing two board games. They're basically the same game. The Settlers of the Stone Age, which first came out in 2002 from Cosmos and Mayfair, and Catan, Dawn of Humankind, a brand new version that just came out this year, 2022, from Catan Studio. Here are the box covers. On the left is the Mayfair first edition of the Settlers of the Stone Age. It's rather static, not very evocative. Of course, the new version is very bright and colorful and creates a world that you kind of want to enter into. They're the same box size. Here are the inserts. On the left, Mayfair's plastic insert with space for the cards and the dice, a large well for the various bits and bobs. On the right, very similar, it has special place for the dice and the figurines and two large wells to put in the various tokens. And you'll see at the top there are these long boards which cover up 4 wells which can be used to store the player pieces. In the newer edition, there's a small plastic tray which is actually removable. You can see the cards are relatively unchanged. You'll notice the color change that's different for the two middle types. The change is reflected in the board as well. Here's a comparison of the player pieces from one particular player color. Both editions have red, white, and blue as player colors. In the old edition, the 4th color is orange, and the new edition, it's yellow. You'll see, of course, it's changed from relatively simple wooden shapes to sculpted plastic miniatures. On the left, you'll see 4 cubes. Those track your progress on various tracks, and those are replaced with, on the top right, you'll see a Stone Age couple, I suppose. And the 2 larger versions are the Explorers, which are just simple cylinders in the old edition. The cylinders were quite small, and in particular the campsites, which you'll see are on the bottom left there. I want to say those are relatively fire-shaped. There's 5 of them, and now there's 6 kind of huts. For the Neanderthal and the saber-toothed tiger, they were simple cardboard standees in the original edition. Now you'll have a look at the art for the Neanderthal in the old edition. I don't think that's going to get a lot of fans in this day and age. Imagine people who would prefer the figurine when possible. And simple white wooden dice are replaced with simple green plastic dice. Here's the player aid. The top one is from the original edition. It shows development costs, the cost to progress on the various tracks. And in the new edition, that's a double-sided, smaller board, as opposed to single-sided in the original. Now, importantly, the costs have changed slightly. Whereas in the original edition, to move an explorer required 1 food. Now, it can be a food or a hide. In the advanced progress marker on the top, or progress track cost on the bottom left, you'll see now there's only 4 levels instead of 5. The last level is level 4 instead of 5, and to achieve that level, you need bones and flint and food now instead of hides. So that's one way they tried to speed up the game, is to have a shorter progress track. Here are the progress tracks. In the original, they were pre-printed on the board. There were 4 tracks on the 4 different sides of the board, kind of as a border surrounding the map. And these are separate boards in the new edition. It's nice that it shows the costs on the board, which the original didn't do. 2 of the tracks are very important to be able to see together. On 2 different sides of the board, it's a little bit annoying to look back and forth between the 2 sides, whereas because the boards are separate, you can actually just pair those 2 tracks together. I can't easily show you both boards in full unless I took a photo from the ceiling. The boards are very, very large. The artwork in the original was simple and clear, again a bit more bright and colorful and evocative in the new edition. And you'll notice that the paths that kind of branch out from Australia into the Pacific, these are ways you can explore and you can get bonuses that way. They're paths printed into the ocean art, whereas in the new one they're represented by clouds. A little bit of a strange choice in my opinion. In the first edition board, you used the same board for 3 or 4 players, and there were simply campsites, which is where you can build camps, that were unavailable if you were playing a 3-player game. And what they did with the new edition was they just had a double-sided board, different sides of the board for 3 or 4 players. As you can see, the hexes are probably a tiny bit bigger in the new edition, but the whole board looks much bigger because it doesn't have the thick border with the progress charts. Some of the, what I call obstacles, the requirements that you need to get to the exploration tokens have increased. And you'll see that some of the numbers on some of the hexes are different in value. In the original, on the top, the last progress space would have one of these cards that and the first player to get to that space would simply take the card, put it in front of them, that's 1 VP. And in the new edition, these are cardboard tokens placed to the right of the progress tracks, and each of these is worth 1 point. That yellow circle symbol on each of the 4 tiles is a victory point symbol in the new edition. These cards are also changed. These are, I guess, the equivalent of longest road and largest army in regular Catan, the expansion and exploration achievements, which in the original were both worth 2 victory points. But you'll see in the expansion one, now it's only worth 1 victory point. Exploration is the same with 2 victory points. You see the 2 circle symbols on that token. And you see the smaller tokens, which the original game didn't have these. The rule was still there that any other players to reach that requirement after the first player, who gets 2 victory points, would still get 1 victory point, but you would just kind of steal the victory point from somewhere else, whereas they have dedicated tokens in the new edition. The exploration tokens, which were previously Roman numerals on the backs, 1, 2, 3, and 4, to denote where they're supposed to go on the board, are now replaced with small animal tokens. And there's different ones for North and South America, which is a change. That's why you see the 2 orange ones. If you flip them over on their back, it's a very similar concept. There's 3 different values for the exploration markers. On the left allows you to move what are sort of the robbers in this version, the Neanderthal and the saber-toothed tiger / Smilodon. The one in the middle denotes a type of terrain which players will have to desertify. We'll get to that in a second. The one on the right is a victory point, which in the original edition, just a colored circle. But here it makes very clear in the new edition that it is worth a victory point because it shows a little yellow circle. However, you don't actually keep those face up. You reveal and you get the benefit, but then you flip it over back face down. So actually, instead of keeping that face up to show your victory point, instead you would take one of these larger tokens. And these on the back do show 1 victory point. I didn't bother to show it, but it basically on the back it just shows the same animal with a 1 VP symbol. So the player who explores and finds that particular token will take this larger token, which is worth 1 VP. And it's the same idea in the old edition, they just used cards. So the first person to find the pink circle token would just get this Adaptation Americas card on the top right there, worth 1 VP. Desertification, what is that? Well, when you reveal a desertification token, you have to dry up one of the hexes in Africa. In the original, the numbers with the pips, you see those tokens on the bottom, right? Those are from the new edition. In the old edition, they were pre-printed on the board, and you would dry up or desertify the hex by placing one of these small desert hexes covering the number to show that it doesn't produce any resources anymore. In the new edition, the numbers are not pre-printed on the board. You have these tokens, which you then place on the board. And when a hex in Africa dries up, you simply remove the token. I mean, the old way was quicker to set up. In theory, the new edition, you should be able to kind of mix up these numbers to add some variety, so different hexes produce different resources at different likelihoods, different odds. But the official rules don't mention anything about that. There are locations on the board at which you can build camps. And in the original edition, those were marked with these tokens, these 1 VP tokens. On the left, they represented, I suppose, local tribes. And on the right, they're replaced by, I suppose, local vegetation in a way, to represent the different continents. I don't think the artwork on those tribe tokens are going to gain anyone any fans today. So the new ones on the right are a little bit better. And again, it shows on the bottom there that on the back, it shows that 1 VP symbol, the circle there, as opposed to just saying 1 VP on the tribe tokens on the left. Thanks for watching. Remember, older games like The Settlers of the Stone Age, now Catan, Dawn of Humankind, don't stop being good just because newer games come out. Take care.